It was a normal day of training for me. I was training at the time for the first time at junior Olympic level when I was on the parallel bars. I did my routine as per normal, and I had a lapse of concentration and um, fell off the parallel bars, and I missed the safety mat by about a meter. Landed on my head on the only meter by meter area of concrete, breaking my neck at level C67. And in an instant, I was left paralyzed from round about the shoulders down. I had no function of my hands and partial function of my arms. So from going from someone who was a musician, a gymnast, and a dancer, I was left incapable to move 80% of my body.
I understand that you recovered a lot more ability than people had anticipated. Can you give us a comparison as to how much ability you were able to recover following that accident up until 2015?
Well, actually quite it's actually quite surprising now that I look back at it, because it was literally about a day or two ago that I read my discharge forms. I went from a point where I couldn't move my hands at all, or pick up a mug, or feed myself, or dress myself, or um, bathe myself. And I was relying on a board just to move my bum between maybe a chair and a bed. And from going from totally incapable of doing anything, I've now gained full function on my hands back. Things that professionals and doctors said that I would never gain back, which is pretty much my independence. I've gained back full function of my arms. I've gained back a lot more function of my torso, and function all the way down to my lower back. So I've surprised myself and surprised so many more people just because I decided not to give up. Because in my eyes, no one can tell you what you're truly capable of unless you put the effort in and you find out yourself.
You've managed to actually race against the current world record holder in Raymond Martin from the United States in Switzerland, where you set the African record in the 100 meters. So surely this must bode quite well for you, because you've only been wheelchair racing for less than 2 years. So the extra time actually plays in your favor.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. I've been doing parasports for just over 4 years now, but full-time wheelchair racing for 2. And it's last year, I feel like it was the most growth I've ever felt as a wheelchair racer. So to have one more year just to kind of perfect the art a little bit more. I mean, this is my first Paralympics, so I want to do as good as possible. My first and my main goal is just to qualify. I just want to make a team, to be up there in the green and gold and represent my country. That's my dream. So if I can have another year just to perform a little bit better, I'm very excited. This year is definitely going to be tough, though, with us, many of us being in lockdown and having to change our training slightly and being limited with facilities. So it's going to be very different, but change is good. Change is good. It's a fresh take on things, and it keeps us on our toes.
Are there any special precautions that people or athletes with physical disabilities need to be taking during this time of the pandemic, like over and above those special precautions that they would be taking anyway moving into the colder winter months?
I would say not necessarily for all people with disabilities, but definitely with people who have respiratory issues. So like a high-level spinal cord injury, say, for example. So I wouldn't necessarily be so high at risk, but I still am at risk. The moment I get sick, it goes straight to my chest. And that can cause some major issues. And apart from that, wheelchair users are quite highly at risk because, our hands are on our wheels all day. And these wheels are touching everything on the ground. So as a wheelchair user and someone with a spinal cord injury, I have to constantly be aware of washing my hands as much as possible, keeping as much distance from people as possible, sadly being home as much as possible. And you got to be that extra careful. We we have to be a little bit extra careful because of those high risks. And if we get it, it could be really severe. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, and I've been struggling with a bit of an injury over the past couple of weeks now. So as a full-time athlete, I hit a new personal best just before lockdown. I hit a new African record and I hit a new personal best. So I was stoked. I was on a high. And second week into lockdown, while training, I had an injury. So I've been man down for about two or 3 weeks, and I haven't been able to train, and it's been really, really difficult for me. So I got extremely demotivated. I went through a dip, and I had to pick myself up. A lot of people saw on Instagram, I did a post on the fact that I went through a bit of a dip, and that I feel for those who are probably going through a similar dip, because we're all human. But I realized that, and I tell this to the guys on a weekly basis, that we just got to change your mindset.
All right, and to conclude our sports for this Monday morning, the trivia question we